Welcome. I am Dr. Alaa Jabbar Al-Maliki from University Utara, Malaysia, and today we are tackling the steps to build a conceptual framework for your PhD research. This flowchart tracks your progress through the PhD journey. You have already identified your research gap, defined your problem, developed your objectives, and written your research questions. That brings you here, having arrived squarely at the conceptual framework stage. Supervisors inevitably ask for this framework, and it often creates immediate confusion. The difficulty lies in translating a massive text-based literature review into a coherent visual logic. Your framework functions as the visual proof of your research logic, demonstrating the specific relationships you intend to investigate. This side-by-side table compares the two frameworks researchers often confuse. On the left, we see the theoretical framework, an established lens using recognized models like the technology acceptance model. On the right, the conceptual framework is a structure you construct yourself, piecing together relevant variables and theories to fit your specific study. These two concepts operate side by side. A conceptual framework is frequently informed by an established theoretical framework. The conceptual framework provides the unique architectural blueprint required to solve your specific research problem, regardless of what overarching theory you apply to your study. We begin building your framework by returning to your literature review matrix. You will examine across your collected studies to tally which variables repeatedly appear alongside your specific research problem. We start by identifying your dependent variable. Let's use secure cybersecurity behavior as our main outcome. Next, we place the independent variables on the left: cybersecurity awareness, perceived cyber risk, and organizational security support. Finally, we draw arrows connecting them directly to our secure behavior outcome. Every single arrow drawn in this diagram represents an academic research claim that you must investigate using your methodology. A valid framework emerges directly from literature evidence. Adhering to the matrix prevents you from inventing random concepts simply because they look interesting on paper. Sometimes a relationship is indirect. We introduce a mediator. Risk perception acts as a stepping stone, explaining how cybersecurity awareness influences security behavior. We can also evaluate conditional factors. A moderator, like organizational security culture, points down into an existing relationship line, indicating it changes that connection's strength. These advanced components require explicit theoretical justification from previous studies before you can introduce them into your model. A complicated framework is not a strong framework by default. You should only add complexity if it is strictly required to map the reality of your research problem. This linear equation tracks the logical alignment between your components. A specific relationship in your framework must lead directly to a corresponding research question and objective, which then dictates your methodology. Take a moment to pause this video. Look at the last 10 papers you reviewed and write down one dependent outcome and 3 independent factors from those studies. When your framework is correctly aligned, each drawn arrow provides the necessary structural basis for your formal, testable hypotheses. Computer science or AI PhD students developing algorithms often do not use traditional social science variables. Technical students conceptualize their research logic as a system architecture. This diagram builds from left to right. Technical inputs like network traffic data flow into data preprocessing and feature extraction, move into an AI-based detection model and attack classification, and land on performance evaluation metrics like accuracy. Whether you build a variable model or a system architecture, every single component needs a clear academic purpose rooted in your problem statement. Let's review the top mistakes that weaken a framework before submission. These include drawing before reading the literature, adding too many variables, leaving arrows unexplained, copying another researcher's work without justification, and including orphan variables. Orphan variables pose a specific danger. These are elements that appear visually in your diagram, but are never actually measured or included in your research questions. Modifying an existing framework by adopting, or extending it is valid academic practice. You must simply ensure every change and addition is rigorously justified by the literature. Before finalizing your diagram, you must pass the conceptual framework test. Ask yourself, do my concepts come from literature? Is every arrow justified? Do my hypotheses match those arrows? Evaluate the necessity of your components. Ask whether the logic of your study remains intact if a specific box is removed. If removing a component does not break the logic of your research, delete it immediately. You now have the tools to build a fully justified framework map. In our next video, we will take the arrows you have drawn and translate them into formal, testable research hypotheses. See you there.